Alrighty, just bear with me for a quick second. Well, welcome to the throw-in here on Friday, March 31st, 2023. What's going on, everyone? And a very, very, very happy Friday, at least on partial note. You know, I want to first of all come on here and say thank you to everybody who made yesterday possible. And what I mean by that is I did a live stream broadcast of the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds yesterday. And I ended up calling the game. And I didn't know at first if I was going to get the game or not, because I have Hulu TV, and I have Hulu TV because of the local channels. You get Fox 19, and you get the CBS and whatnot. But because of certain things, because of Hulu restrictions, sometimes programming are not available. And so I was a little bit nervous coming opening day that because the Reds provided a Bally Sports opening day broadcast, that I wasn't going to be able to get. I was able to get the Findlay Market Day Parade, but I wasn't going to get the Cincinnati Reds and Pittsburgh Pirates game, which I was going to be so frustrated because that's what I was getting ready to. And I thought to myself earlier this week, and it was the preparation that, hey, listen, this is an important game. And what better way for covering the Cincinnati Reds throughout the season other than being able to call their first game on the channel? And so, I went to it, and luckily everything went smoothly, and I was capable of having the game and conducting the game. And I want to just go out and thank everyone who was watching the stream, which I was having a solid 50, 60 people at a time tuning into the stream. There were several people who were getting involved during the stream, and it was, I think, memorable for me. Now, I will be honest with you, it's also a terrifying thing because although I go live stream, I don't have 20, 30, 50 people watching every day on the live stream as much as I would love to. On top of that, I'm also calling things by myself, doing all this. So if one thing slips up, or if I accidentally get one information incorrect on the stream, I don't want to look like a bad person in that sense. So it was nerve-wracking, but I was extremely excited. I had a great time calling the game, giving you guys a pre-game, post-game show, all of the above. And it's also thanks to everyone who was paying attention, listening to. Also got a couple feedbacks in the comment, which I love. I love it when people get a chance to share their thoughts and their opinions, in the comments below, and be a part of the program, be a part of the show. So game one of hopefully handful of games. Now, I don't have a set schedule because my set schedule changes all the time, and usually it's like the day or 2 days before, and I'm going to try to do better to post that stuff on there as the time comes. But I knew, when it came down to yesterday, and, I slept in, and I actually slept. I was drained Wednesday night. I tell you, and I was talking to, to the wife, and we're kind of in competition because she's currently pregnant. As we earlier this week, we announced that, we're having a child. It's going to be my third child and be her first child. Well, she's telling me how she exhausted she is, from working and, being pregnant. I don't blame her. But then I'm telling you, I was like, Wednesday night, I did a live stream on Wednesday night, and then I did a cubicle chat, and I was a bit, I found some energy for that. But then I was telling him, I'm exhausted. I'm ready to fall asleep. And she's like, we're kind of arguing, well, not arguing, but debating back and forth of who should legitimately be more tired than the other. And so I slept in yesterday. And the original plan was to get up and do a program early in the morning and then get ready for the Reds and Pirates game. I have this broadcast center here for our everyday show, but when I do baseball games and I do stuff like that, I will take it to the bedroom, set up a little, you know, microphone, headset, computer. That's it, and you go straight from there. And so yesterday, and we're still waiting for the maintenance man to come in to take care or take a look at the dishwasher, and hopefully he's not going to come in during the program. I have a sign on the door because no one else is here besides me. I have a sign on the door saying, hey, listen, there's a live broadcast going right now. Please come back after 2 p.m. because that's when we're scheduled to be off of that broadcast. But man, the turn of events, getting up in the morning, heading on over to kind of slowly getting up, getting dressed, and then getting turning on the Finley Day Market Parade, where we got to see the mayor and Nick Lodolo and Graham Mashcraft and Marty Brenneman and all those good people. So it was a fun day. And then calling the broadcast game, and unfortunately, we'll talk about the game. The game just didn't go the way that it planned, to be honest. Hunter, and we'll get more into this in the second. We got a busy show for you, by the way. We'll get more into this in the second segment of the program when we actually give you official highlights and news updates and whatnot. But we were kind of waking up in the morning. Hey, the Reds are going to win. This is although we were, a lot of people weren't expecting them to be top-notch teams, to contend. I still carry that optimistics, and a little bit of that kind of went away yesterday. I mean, this was my first time experiencing the Cincinnati festivities because they haven't really had a full-on traditional festivities since 2019. You had the lockdown last year, COVID the 2 previous years, and so they're kind of are a little, this was the first year that we got a chance. I got a chance to experience. Now, I wasn't going to go down there. Okay. And I guess I have a problem in myself. And my problem is being able to go down in a crowded area, knowing that it's going to be difficult to get in and out of traffic. And not saying that I wouldn't go down, I would go down, but it was just kind of a bit difficult for me to want to go down and check out the parade and then be around, thousands. I mean, I was told there was a record-breaking 44,000 people at Great American Ballpark yesterday. Just imagine the people outside of the stadium. And I'm like, not necessarily. For me, it's kind of like either I'm going to be the first person to leave or I'm going to be the last person to leave if I didn't get a chance to get out in time, because I know the traffic that just lurks ahead, especially in any downtown area, but especially in downtown Cincinnati. I mean, they do a pretty good job, but I still just wouldn't linger back there. But I was told it was a good event. It was overall, even though the ball game didn't go the way that we expected it to. Hunter Green only going 3 1/3 of an inning, striking out 8. I would say, good performance, but this was a performance that we kind of needed for a lot for the rest of the rotation and to kind of jumpstart our season. Even if he was good to give up 4 or 5 runs, I know it was a close game. You had a couple of runners on, but to jump this to the bullpen that early on in the game, what I was hoping for at the beginning of the season, all right, is that our core 3 guys in that rotation to really set the tone for the week. And after hearing post game stuff and the post game rules and whatnot, I was just kind of what was the thinking process? I kind of understand, but I mean, I think you quickly ask the questions of how long do we tolerate? Because we know that the Reds aren't going to be this 90+ win team, although we like to think that way. But how long do we really expect the Cincinnati Reds to play at the level that they played at yesterday, where David Bell is making decisions and calling game times and decisions that probably didn't need to be made at the time? Would have liked to see Hunter Green go an additional, try to get out of the outing. I know he got out of the outing prior, but I was listening to Locked On Reds podcast this morning, and if you guys want to listen strictly Reds podcast and everything that you want to know about the Reds, I suggest going over to their podcast. And I would, they made something very interesting. Hunter Green is still at his worst day a better pitcher to choose out of compared to the entire bullpen right now. And I kind of agreed, I mean, when I was calling the game, yes, he didn't look fatigued. I'd say Hunter Green looked like he just wasn't able to control a lot of, there was a lot of pitches, that was not right there in center. There was a lot of close calls too. The umpire was a little all over the place. I mean, I'm not going to put on the umpires for the game, but it looked like for me, Hunter Green was in a position where he just didn't. He was trying to work a little extra hard to make the pitches, which then caused him to be inconsistent. And that's what I saw. Walking, I think he walked 3 batters, striking out 83 pitches in a 3 1/3 inning. And I was just like, oh no. I just wondered. I was just curious, like how, is this the way that we're going to begin the season, getting into the bullpen, not even getting after 3, getting after 5 innings. And these are the guys. Hunter Green is one of the elite guys that we expect every 5 days to give you at least 5, if not 6 innings an outing. And to kick off the season, only 3 outings. And we'll get into some aftermath about what David Bell said to what Hunter Green said as well in the recap coming up here in the next segment. But, I questioned a lot about the decisions that were to be made. And a couple things surprised us. We'll get into later on in the program, but we got a busy 2 hours to talk about with you guys. All right. Coming in hour number 1. All right. We're going to get you guys ready for the weekend in sports. The Reds are off today. They'll have game 2 and 3 against the Pirates on Saturday and Sunday. We'll get you coverage of all of that and what to expect. We're also wanting to pay attention to the National League Central. So we'll give you coverage of the Central right now, how teams are looking, what did the something interesting coming out. Hey, listen, I've seen it all after what we're about to talk about with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Toronto Blue Jays yesterday. And, we're just getting underway here on a Friday. We got a lot more to cover because in hour number 2, we got, it's time. It's time. It's WrestleMania time. Yeah, because WrestleMania 39 is among us. The final episode of SmackDown's tonight. We see a handful of things taken away as Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes square off to face one final time. Drew and Sheamus will work together to face um, Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser in a tag team match before WrestleMania. Then we have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We'll talk a little bit about that, expectations. It's time to give you our predictions, thoughts, news, analytics, all of the above on NXT Stand and Deliver, which is tomorrow. And then we have also WrestleMania night 1 tomorrow and night 2. And let's not forget the last inductee to the 2023 Hall of Fame. Tim White was going to be receiving the Warrior Award. Congratulations to his family. And you kind of the first, I think, referee, if I'm not mistaken, officially being inducted into the 2023 Hall of Fame this year. That's going to be tonight. And don't forget that the Focus headline on will be Rey Mysterio as he gets set to also take on his son Dominic at WrestleMania night 1. The match card is out. And what do you guys think about? We'll talk about all of that and more. We're just getting started here on a Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, let's have a great show. If you guys are watching us over on YouTube, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Be sure to hit that follow notification button. Don't miss a single episode. If you guys are checking us out on Facebook or Twitter, thank you. Like, share it with a friend. Invite you guys over to our YouTube page to leave comments and get involved into the conversations. If you guys are also maybe tuning us in on audio platforms, I know there's been a delay on getting those uploaded. I'll be working on that over the weekend. But be sure to download the throw-in on all major audio platforms, Speaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Because of you, thank you guys, valid listeners. All right, let's take a time out of the program. Come on back. Let's talk some sports. You guys are listening to The Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Looking back at the good times before it all went down, climbed right up on the hillside, a different view of my life. You left me running on and on, but I don't care, would you let me in? You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you're my liability. Yeah, I know you're my liability. You say that you're sorry. We turn the page and make up. A broken trust got you haunted. To doubting you was enough to leave me chasing you on and on. But I don't care, I will let you in. You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you're my liability. Yeah, I know you're my liability. Oh, what a hopeless case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But
opening day, and it all begins with Hunter Green.
Hunter Green gets involved today. You know, he's got the kind of stuff that could win him the Cy Young Award. I mean, every year, every time I see Hunter Green take them out, I'm thinking, this may be the day that he throws a no-hitter.
O'Neill Cruz at the plate, fly to the wall in left field, the first pitch of the game and of the season. There's a drive to right field. This is going to tie the game. How about an opening day Cruz missile on a 3-2 pitch? O'Neill Cruz ties it at 1.
Yeah, there's no velocity that O'Neill Cruz cannot turn around, and he knew he was getting a fastball there. He started to swing early, 111.1 miles per hour off the bat, 425 feet. That was a bomb.
With ease, Bob. With ease, that swing. How many will he hit in 2023?
McCutcheon ready. And the fastball at 105. 105.
Is that number right? Did it say 105? Is that right?
Scoreboard doesn't lie.
As Spencer Steer stands in, a walk his first time up.
That is slugged deep left center. Opening day blast for Spencer Steer. Is that a Viking helmet? And the road. Oh my. Then the young Viking comes up and it's a bomb to left center field.
Now Vossler hitting behind the count. No balls, 2 strikes. Keller to the plate. Fraley runs, and Vossler rips a line drive fair down the right field line and into the corner. India scores. Here comes Fraley around third. Little trouble with it for Smith and Jigba. And on to third is Vossler as the Reds tied it for the 5th.
Well, my heart's beating for the kid. I'm sure his is.
They will give Vossler 2 RBIs and a triple, even though Smith and Jigba had trouble with it in the corner.
And now the infield in with O'Neill Cruz. 3-2, Buck Farmer. And a fly ball to left. Plenty deep. O'Neill Cruz having himself quite a day and gives the Pirates the lead. How about the way the Bucks just manufactured that run? One more out to get Jake Fraley.
1-2 on Jake Fraley. The Pirates a strike away from shaking hands here on opening day in Cincinnati. Bednar delivers. Fastball, strike 3 call. Fraley down on strikes. And the Pirates, they win it in Cincinnati. They're 1-0. And they win on opening day 5-4.
Alrighty, that is the Reds and the Pirates opening day. Final score 5-4. Tough loss we had here. You know, as I mentioned back in the opening segment with Hunter Green going 3 in a third of an inning and giving up 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts in 83 pitches. I think, you know, I think there has to be a decision. And what is that decision for David Bell and the Cincinnati Reds? Now David Bell has made some claims, and so I kind of want to share with you some of the claims that he made on about the ball game yesterday. And he made some claims, and I want to get to the claims before we talk about anything else, because he mentions on everything that he sent out to for getting Hunter Green out of the game early on. So here's David Bell in the post-game show.
Yeah, Hunter started off strong. If it was really the 3rd inning, 32 pitches, he really had to work hard that inning. Came out in the 4th, just not quite as sharp. So if he would have got Hedges, he would have got Cruz to have a chance to get out of that inning. But once he lost Hedges, felt like with those 2 hitters coming up, we had Cruz ready. It was going to be tough to get out of it at that point, only because of really the workload from the inning before. That was the decision. 83 pitches and 3 1/3 is quite a few. So Hunter's going to get plenty of opportunity to go deeper in the game. The rest of the year, we got a long way to go. It was a good ball game. Obviously, we wanted to come out and play well and win the game. They're all very important, especially on a beautiful afternoon like this in front of our fans. Great crowd. So it means a lot. So it's disappointing. At the same time, it doesn't change the fact that we're ready to take on the season, and as a team, just very ready and very strong, ready to take on anything that comes our way. So that's a great feeling. Our team feels that way about it, and it's real.
All right, so that's David Bell comments after the game here, and simple. Listen, tough loss, but as I mentioned in the first segment, Hunter Green is one of those guys. This is top elite guys. You got Green, Lodolu, Ashcraft that we've been talking about all spring long. And I understand they're still working, they're still developing, and they're not going to be perfect. And yes, Hunter Green got himself into a couple of jams early on in the in the innings. 2 men on, bases loaded. Second inning, he had to get out of a great jam, and it built motivation. And I was expecting him to do the same thing out there in the fourth inning. Now, what the Reds are going to need, because when it comes down to Hunter Green, and I mentioned this in the first segment, I'm going to say it again. Even at his worst time, he is better than majority, if not all, the guys in the bullpen. And that is I think a valid statement to claim and to make right now for the Cincinnati Reds. And so when you feel confident going out there with, Green every 5 days, and this is going to be the same way to Nick Lodolu and Graham Ashcraft this weekend, as they continue the series on Saturday and Sunday, is that you need to let these guys go. I can't imagine that there are limitations. I mean, who was it? And I have it here, but I have it here. Who was the pitcher? Here we go. Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller threw 100 pitches in the ball game yesterday before being taken out. He gave up 4 runs. The Pirates allowed him to tie the ball game before deciding, all right, hey, we're going to go ahead and pull him, and that's going to be the day. And I thought maybe the aspect should be the same way, because we needed to get depth, and we saw what happened with Fernando Cruz. And one thing with this bullpen is going to need the help from from the rotation. And if David Bell is not willing to allow even their considered ace pitcher to go six innings, giving up 4 or 5 runs, then I think it's going to be a little bit more, it's going to be a little bit more tough, season to handle. Spencer Steer went 1 for 2 in the ball game, walking twice, a home run, and now people are quick to call it the Spear Steer, as he is expected to have some sort of standout year among everyone else. And it was kind of guys that you didn't quite expect or anticipate contributing into the 4 runs that they had, because there were some promising things that if you maybe got out of the 4th inning without walking in runs, because that's what happened. The Fernando Cruz walked in a few runs to give up the lead. And and then you also have it was 2 walks with bases loaded to score in 2 runs. And it was also a wild pitch. So if you ended up just doing those simple things and was able to get out of that inning, we could have been seeing a very different ball club. And Jason Vosler, so one of the guys that maybe surprised me early on to even be in the lineup opening day. And I know that Joey Votto was going to be out beginning of the season on the IL, but to see Vosler in that lineup and to see him batting behind Stevenson and then contribute with that 2-run RBI, on that line drive down the right field side, it kind of gave me a little bit of hope, because we're still waiting. First game one of 162. Don't expect Tyler Stevenson to go hit knockoff balls, out of the park, grand slams, whatnot. You don't expect Jonathan India to steal 20 bases game one, but already there is some positive things that I think we could look at in guys like Jason Vosler and especially in Spencer Steer. You've seen the reports after the game, and they're calling for heads of David Bell and even Will Benson. I think a lot of people are a bit much to start judging these teams. And I guess the ultimate question that, I was watching the Lock On Reds, and I hope they answer this one day, but I was like, at what point, how long do we give the Reds? This is a team that we're expecting to transition into a new squad by the end of the year, bringing guys like Christian Encarnacion Strand, bringing guys like Ellie Dela Cruz and Noel V. Marte and Mac McLean, all up to the big leagues at some point. But at what point do we see that happen? At what point do we finally see David Bell and the ownership go out there and say, all right, we got to start making these transitions? Or at what point do we see him, we watch the Reds and say, all right, you know what? I think I've seen enough to start really criticizing. I think for what the Reds were able to put out there and have during spring training was, I think, a little high. There was a lot of high expectancies to see that roll over into opening day. And I don't blame the fan base for saying, yeah, we've had a decent spring. Let's go ahead and carry that over into the spring, into regular season. We want to, but it's something we have to understand. It's just game one. It still was a close game. I mean, Derek Law was probably one of the saviors in the bullpen yesterday, and we're already, we're seeing some things. And so definitely, if you guys are Reds fans, or I guess in this case, any ball club, all right, don't go jump too far ahead of winning a game over a team. Don't go jump too far ahead of throwing your hands up because a team had a bad day, because there was a lot of those. And, you got to give it a couple weeks. I say give it a couple weeks. Getting ready for the weekend moving forward. Here's the interesting thing I want to say about the Pittsburgh Pirates is that they had a lot of discipline. They watched and took a lot of pitches, and that's also what really hurt the ball, the Hunter Green early on. And I think the Reds pitching staff is that they were plate discipline. And when they did get on base, there was guys like, and this wasn't even guys like Brian Reynolds and Key Brian Hayes that you expected. You had Najiba, you had Cruz, O'Neal Cruz, who, and then, G1 Bay, who also were very aggressive around the bases. And to see if that's going to be the case for the season, and listen, the success that they had yesterday can only indicate that they're going to continue it over the weekend. If they're going to continue to have that success, then the Pirates could be a dangerous asset getting on base, especially when they have 4 or 5 or 6 guys, especially not the key names that you expect to be aggressive around the base. So, I mean, that was kind of one thing that really stood out for me as well. Yesterday's game, got a chance to broadcast it. One thing I also did notice that was also unrelated gameplay was the amount of communication. You actually saw the umpires and much more communications between the batters, the catchers, the pitchers, the coaches. And I thought that was kind of cool. It's going to be new. I think, listen, we took a look at spring, and we're transitioning into some of these rules. Well, the rules are still going to be transitioned to the big leagues, to the regular season. And I think right now, slower pace of the game so that we can understand these rules and so that we can actually get comfortable with these rules, both as a fan and on the field, is going to be necessary to take place. What is going to happen for the Reds the remainder of the weekend? As we see here, they have today off, and thank goodness it is gloomy, it is raining, and not expect or anticipate anything fun to happen here. But they will resume gameplay Saturday, April 1st at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Pittsburgh Pirates will have left-handed Rich Hill out on the mound, and for the Cincinnati Reds, we'll have the left-handed pitcher Nick Lodolo. These are all expected pitchers to start. Day by day still changes. For Sunday's game, we will have a 1:40 pitch start on April 2nd as Vince Velasquez, right-hander, getting the nod for the Pirates, and then Graham Ashcraft is going to get the nod for the Reds. So exciting weekends still to come. I'm very optimistic, especially about Saturday's game. It all depends what type of Vince Velasquez we will see. And I think when you start getting down to Graham Ashcraft, yes, I'm comfortable with throwing him out there every 5 days. But to be honest, I kind of have to see a little bit more consistency out of Graham Ashcraft. And hopefully we get to see that this Sunday. And hopefully Nick Lodolo is the guy who comes in and, all right, 5-6 innings, shutouts, maybe giving up a run or two. I would like to see David Bell. All right, I'm going to give this the first outing. For the back end of the rotation with Luis Cessa and Connor Overton, I'll give it about 2 to 3 outings. But for these 3 guys, the first outing, I will be acceptive of seeing these guys. Although I will like them to go out and still get trusted to go 6-7 innings, giving up 4 to 5 runs, because that's what's going to have to happen. But I do trust these guys in giving us, giving these first outings 4 or 5, don't overwork it. But then by the second outing, they need to really be allowed to step up and start performing, or being allowed to perform as those everyday 3 starters that we really want to see out of them throughout the course of the season. So we'll give it to the series, the Chicago Cubs series, but come next time around, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Graham Ashcraft, really want to see David Bell, trust them just a bit. All right, let's step aside, take a break. Come on back, get you a trip around the NL Central, everything else that is going on in Cincinnati. And hey, the Final Four is this weekend. We'll give you all that information coming up next. You guys are listening to The Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Director role, you're playing multiple hats. Can you just quickly elaborate, maybe a quick summary of what this play is about? Love's not enough.
So, as we know, the title speaks for itself. Love is not enough. It takes more than saying "I love you" in order for any relationship to thrive and survive. So. This is actually a revamp from the production that we did back in 2019, which was a phenomenal group of talents. However, this story did not change, but it did. So there are some similarities to 2019 version. However, it's totally different from 2019, if that makes sense. I expanded on a lot of the stories, gave a lot of backstory on different characters, and, all in all, just to show that, again, it takes more to it takes more to a relationship than just saying, hey, I love you. It's actually a word that requires action. So, yeah.
What made you want to revamp this? This was it was original back in 2019, and
well, actually, so what made me want to revamp this was, so we got a lot of feedback from the audience. I love one thing about me as a writer and director. I love constructive feedback. Anything to help me better myself, anything to help me expand or help me to stretch, my craft and my skills in the world of writing and directing. So a lot of their feedback after the show in 2019, which I say no, there was no bad feedback at all. I'd say all feedback is something that I can learn from. So that's basically where I got it from. And then studying the show from 2019 and just looking at things like hey, I can do this better. And, I want to change this, or I want to add this. So,
Ceiling fan blowing cold breeze on your body. I can't tell you really what it is, but you got it. Makeup in the morning, you got dresses in your closet, but you grab them tight, you in love with being modest. You a move body giving interviews. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover wounds, different.
Alrighty, bottom half of the first hour of the program is given to you thanks to StreamYard Studios, where you can create videos, podcasts, conduct your own interviews, and even host virtual business meetings. They got so many different options and so many free ranges. You could add multiple people to your streams, add overlays, has banners, tickers, PowerPoints, presentations, videos, and whatnot, thanks to StreamYard. Check out their free version today. For more information, check out StreamYard.com. I also like to take this time and promote Love's Not Enough, April 7th at 7 p.m. and April 8th at 3 p.m. at the Community Arts Center in Cincinnati and Fairfield, Ohio, If you guys are looking to have nothing to do next weekend on Easter weekend, they have 2 more performances, and we will be out there live Friday night to kind of get you guys set up, get you guys ready for Easter weekend. 5 to 7, we'll be broadcasting live at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio, for Love's Not Enough presentation play, presented by Enlightened Studios, written and directed by Terry Chappell II. It's an original from 2019, was revamped and republished earlier this year, back in January. It was so successful that they're going back again. 2 performances only next weekend, April 7th at 7 p.m. and April 8th at 3 p.m. Get your tickets today at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. All right. Fun little weekend that we had in store for us. Let's tell you all about it here as opening day, NL Central. Couple of things lurked and lingered all around. Pittsburgh Pirates and the Reds, final score 5-4. Obviously, we talked about that game. And as I mentioned, that was a fun game to call. Okay. And it was first of hopefully many this year. And like I said, they'll be off tomorrow, and we'll get to you about those other games. But other games happening on opening day, such as Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs, where the Cubs shut out Milwaukee 4-0. And it's nice. Whenever you get a chance to face the divisions, one team's going to go down, one team's going to go up. Milwaukee or St. Louis, or even in that case, Chicago. But I guess if you got to choose, I don't know. I don't want, Chicago's coming into town next. I don't necessarily want Chicago to be to have a 3-0 series coming into Monday. But then Toronto were visiting St. Louis opening day, and they came on to win 10-9. Now, Adam Wainwright is going to be out for a little bit. He didn't get the opening day nod, and he ended up doing something pretty interesting that I think I've officially seen it all, if you ask me. And yeah, he ended up so he came out there among the rest of the team, okay, and he was introduced, and then they were getting ready for the national anthem, and you had a couple guys out there with guitars, and Adam Wainwright comes out away from the first base side and decides that he's going to sing the national anthem. And I didn't really notice this until late last night, and I heard it, and I'm gonna be honest, it's good enough to make this program. And I say I've officially seen it all because an active ball player, okay, who's been in the big leagues for over a decade, should have retired last year, didn't, and he's singing the national anthem in his uniform, and so I have the audio. So here is Adam Wainwright in the St. Louis Cardinals game singing the national anthem here.
Performing today's national anthem, number 50, Uncle Charlie, Adam Wainwright.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through
right off the bat, I could tell you that he's doing a 10 times better job than I could ever do it. A little slower. I think he was hitting the note for the most part with the guitarist playing with them.
And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
All right, Adam, take us home. A little longer than normal, expected.
Does that star-spangled
Trying to hit up every note perfectly. Don't want to mess up.
For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, I'm sorry. I gotta give Adam Wainwright the credit where credit's due. Being able to call opening, being able to sing the national anthem, in front of a full-on St. Louis stadium there, I couldn't do it. I simply couldn't do it. And to look at a ball player, it's interesting because I was watching the Finley Day Parade yesterday. And then you have like Bronson Arroyo, who is also a musician. And I'm like, Adam Wainwright, I've never heard you sing. And if you kind of judge it on a curve, that's kind of one of the better versions I've heard of this, national anthem. And it was tolerable. He didn't, he was kind of, he was consistent through and through. He didn't try to sugarcoat it, and he didn't try to rush it, which, when you're trying, when you, I guess, first get taught the national anthem, you want to make sure you hit every word for word. And, I think either way, if he would have, fall flat on his face during the national anthem, we would have just laughed and picked it up and left and said, at least he tried. But then when you can knock it out of the park, I think this is just on a different level now, for the longest time, and being a, Padres fan, and how nasty Wainwright it has been, on the mound, to be able to transition that to national anthem. I think I just love the game a lot more today than I've done 10 years ago. I would hold grudges and hate ball players, guys like Barry Bonds, guys like, Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina. And I think I've learned over the last 10 years is that these are all guys just trying to make it to the big leagues, and they're all doing the best they can. And you got to give them props on either end. And if that hurts your team, that hurts your team. And, Wainwright wasn't pitching. And from my understanding, what I was told when I listened to this is that no one other than maybe the pre-game plan crew knew about this. So none of his players knew about this. This was all shocked to everyone when he sang the national anthem. And so as we take a look back at the weekend and what these teams have coming forward, all 3 games among all 5 teams are going to be off today, especially for the Reds. Even if it looked like they were scheduled, it doesn't look like they're going to be playing a game because it's raining outside. They will resume their series on Saturday, with the Pirates and Reds at 4:10, Milwaukee and Chicago at 4:20, and Toronto and St. Louis at, let me rephrase that. Milwaukee and Chicago will play at 2:20. Toronto and St. Louis will play at 2:15, and then the Pirates and the Reds at 4:10. And then on Sunday, the Gatorade games, the Cubs and the Brewers is at 2:20. Toronto and the Cardinals are also at 2:15, and then the 1:40 game between the Pirates and the Reds to wrap up the National League Central division there. All right, let's get you some other sports around the horn here. XFL Week 7 begins tonight at 7 p.m. on FX as Seattle Sea Dragons come into the game 4-2, looking to take on Arlington Renegades, who are 3-3. Saturdays, it's a doubleheader game on ESPN2 at 3 p.m. We got the St. Louis Battlehawks, who are 4-2, taking on the Houston Roughnecks, who are also 4-2. Later on at 6 p.m. on ESPN, San Antonio Brahmas, who are 2-4, will take on the Vegas Vipers, who are 1-5. Then last but not least, Sunday's night's game, 7 p.m. on FX, DC Defenders, who are still undefeated, will take on the winless Orlando Guardians for XFL Week 7 weekend series. We'll talk about wrestling in hour number 2 over in the NIT. Congratulations to the number 3 North Texas, who beat UAB 68-61 in NIT championship yesterday. The NCAA tournament the Final Four at the NRG Stadium tomorrow. First game is at 6:09. The number 5 FAU taking on number 5 San Diego State. And then number 5 Miami later on at 8:49 will take on number 4 UConn. The winner of those 2 games will go on to the NCAA championship being played on Monday night. Interesting note coming from the NCAA tournament is that this will be Jim Nance's last and final NCAA tournament call. And, he's notorious for the PGA Open and calling football games. Well, and he's also been calling the final NCAA Final Four for some time. We'll be stepping down after this March Madness ends. College baseball, looking around the town here, Cincinnati will host a 3-game series against Wichita State. Comes into today's game 14-10. If the game is permittable due to weather constraints, the game got pushed back up until 2 p.m. Second game tomorrow, it will be at 2 o'clock. They may be playing a doubleheader tomorrow. And then they'll wrap up the 3-game series against Wichita 12 at high noon on Sunday. Cincinnati Bearcats are 11-15. They lost their last game on Tuesday, 14-1 against Louisville. The game I went to, unfortunately, they lost. They're coming into this home series, weekend series, 6-4 on the record. Xavier Musketeers come into the weekend 13-12 with a 3-game winning streak. On Tuesday, they beat Ohio State, final score 8-1, and go on and beat Wright State on Wednesday on the road 16-8. They'll begin a 3-game series starting today at 3 p.m. if weather is permittable against Northern Illinois. Saturday's game will be at 1 o'clock, and then the Sunday's finale will be at 3 o'clock. And then we got the Cincinnati Cyclones. If you guys got nothing to do tonight, go check out the Cyclones taking on the South Carolina Stingrays at the Heritage Bank Arena. Puck drops at 7:30 at a beach towel giveaway night. Then tomorrow they'll take on Wheeling Nailers on a wiener dog race day. Puck drops at 7:30, and they'll wrap up the weekend series against the Nailers at 3 p.m. on Sunday. It's a sensory-friendly night for the Cyclones on Sunday. ECHL Central standings, the Cyclones are 43-12-3 in the Central, currently leading in the first place, followed by Toledo Walleye, who are 42-16-3, and then Indy Fuel, that stretch still continues, 38-22-0. All right, that is your round the local area scoreboard here. Let's give you, come on back, end of hour number 1. Coming up, hour number 2 is what we've been waiting for, you guys. That is WrestleMania season. We'll get you all the information disclosed. Don't go nowhere. A lot more still to come. You guys are listening to The Throne right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. goes her own way, like he don't give a damn, girl. And my God, she owns it. So many heartbreaks, goes back to 2014, and I think that she knows it. And if you've seen her, I know that you would believe it, cause I know that you'd want her to.
Well, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the top hour of number 2
Everyone's taking their
of the
shot
Throw-In.
and
Be sure to like,
missing
share,
out,
and subscribe.
I think she knows
Wherever you
that
guys are
she
listening
drives
from.
him crazy when she's looking like that. The way she's moving makes him want it so bad.
Hour number 2 is given to you thanks to Spreaker. Spreaker is the #1 audio platform for uploading and monetizing and seeing your analytic reviews. Thanks to Spreaker.com from iHeartRadio. The Throw-In is available on all major audio platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're on there. Thanks to Spreaker. All right, a lot of big things coming out our way here. We're wrapping up a huge week in the world of sports and professional wrestling. Want to go ahead and give our love out there and promote Love's Not Enough, presented by Enlightened Studios, written and directed by Terry Chappell II. 2 more performances is going to be displayed on Easter weekend, one on April 7th at 7 p.m. and the next one on April 8th at 3 p.m. at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Tickets are available, but they're going by fast. And thanks to Terry Chappell and the entire Enlightened Studios crew, we will be broadcasting live, doing a 2-hour episode segment, additional segment to the week on Friday night live at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Join us there. Come on by, say hi to us, interact with us. We'll have guest members joining us, cast members, vendors. We'll have audience stopping by. We'll do a 2-hour segment before the play. And thanks to Terry hooking us up with some tickets. Terry and me and the wife are going to head out to watch the play, and then afterwards stay back and listen to the audience on another hour episode live, all linked in together. I'm excited. I'm thrilled for it, and you guys should be too. So if you guys have nothing going on Easter weekend, April 7th, April 8th, 2 performances, communityartcenter.com, Fairfield, Ohio, for more information. All right. Well, I also want to give you guys a big, big thank you to you, the listeners, because I can't sit here and thank you guys enough for what you guys have done for me in this program over the last 24 hours. All right, let me read you this number. Yesterday we did our first baseball game of the season, Pittsburgh Pirates and those Cincinnati Reds. Okay, and got about 7 more subscribers throughout the game. All right, the game for a pre-show, the actual game, and a post-game show. All right, listen to this. I had 1,287 people watching during the game. An average, okay, according to analytics that I get from YouTube, it was averaged about 50 people per minute continuously watching and listening in to yesterday's ball game, which I think is remarkable. And I want to thank everyone for being a part of all of that. And that stuff right there just encourages me and inspires me to do more and to make more happen. So thank you guys for the fans, the support that you guys gave out yesterday. I think that was the biggest turnout yesterday during the game for people tuning into the program. I couldn't thank you guys enough. And we're looking forward to doing it again. We're looking forward to coming back on here. Now, I don't know. Here's the plan that I have. I have the plan of, on Tuesday, getting the MLB TV. Now, it gives me all the games that are out of market, which means I don't get no Reds game and I don't get no games on ESPN. You know, any game that's on ESPN or on Fox or FS1, whatever, I don't get. And I'm fine with that. And just based off the schedule, based off of the couple of things I have going on for me, I am looking to try. My goal is to get you one at least once a weekend. That is my goal, is to give you a game once a weekend. And that was our biggest viewership that we had of the channel, period. So keep up the amazing work. That's why I got to give you guys a big shout out. All right. But the time is here. The time that we've been waiting for, and this timeline we've been talking about since the beginning of the year, you guys. WrestleMania 39. And I'm excited. How are you guys? And we've already disclosed how big of a week it's going to be, right? We had Monday Night Raw, the go-home show of WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw this past Monday. All right. And then we had the go-home show of NXT Stand and Deliver this past Tuesday. All right. And this is how that schedule is going to continue, because tonight we will see SmackDown. And on SmackDown, we're looking to see three things, okay? The little final pieces to finish up into WrestleMania. What does that mean? That means we see Drew McIntyre and Sheamus take on Giovanni, Vincent, and Ludwig Kaiser in tag team action, taking on the Imperium before Drew and Sheamus goes into WrestleMania and facing Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, the question here is, can Drew and can Sheamus come together one last time? Because we know on Sunday that these two men are going to battle for one title and one title only. And when we get down to the match, and we'll get down to it here in this hour, there's one guy I'm favored to winning because it benefits him a little bit more than the next. So tonight, before we get to that match, we have to get to this tag match tonight that we see. We also get a chance to see the final face-off between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, who have made this personal. But see, I've been listening to a lot of wrestling fans and podcasts and YouTube shows about wrestling for the past year, or for the past week. And we see that there's a possibility that Roman Reigns needs to win this more than Cody Rhodes right now. We'll talk about that in this hour. But the last thing that SmackDown is really worth paying attention to is because this is the official kickoff to WrestleMania, and what's in store for WrestleMania this year is the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Now, with how close SmackDown is to WrestleMania within 24 hours, I'm acceptive of this match. Now, I think it's a bummer that we do not see Bray. I think it's a bummer, but yet again, I think it's also a blessing in disguise that we do not see Bobby Lashley taking on Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Now, that doesn't mean that Bray Wyatt doesn't show up at WrestleMania. And right now, I think there's so much stuff going on between Bobby and between Bray. Well, I think there's so much stuff going on right now with what's going on with Bray that I don't know if we need to see him, because this match card is filled to the brim. But I think it's a little disappointment to see Bobby Lashley not have a spot at WrestleMania. And we can still very well see something down the line at WrestleMania night 1 or night 2 where Bobby comes out as, and I'm going to predict this now, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner of 2023, and go on and say, hey, listen, I beat X number of men. Where's my WrestleMania moment? And something happens. I don't know who, I don't know what. I've thrown out some ideas that Bray Wyatt comes back. I throw out an idea that LA Knight comes out, wants a WrestleMania moment, but then he gets stopped by Bobby Lashley in that sense. So I don't know what's in store, but tonight at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I am predicting Bobby Lashley to walk away. I think that's the only right way to do this. And I honestly feel, not trying to digress and not trying to under promote Bobby Lashley and what he's capable of doing, I don't know if that's good enough for Bobby Lashley. Does going into SmackDown tonight, winning the Battle Royal, do anything for Bobby Lashley and the fact that he's gotten taken away out of WrestleMania? All right, well, then coming up next on SmackDown, immediate following SmackDown. All right, you head on over, so you watch tonight. We're going to turn on SmackDown on Fox. And then immediately after SmackDown, you tune on over to Peacock, because within about 20, 30 minutes maybe, the Hall of Fame is here, where we got about 5 people in this year's Hall of Fame. 5 people. And let's go ahead and kind of run down through the list of the 5 people that are expected to be at the Hall of Fame. One is the first inductee that we were given the privilege to knowing, and that's Rey Mysterio. I'm going to save him for the best for last. You got the Great Muta. We got Andy Kaufman. We got Stacy Keibler. And then winning the Warrior Award, it's going to be Tim White. Now, how often does referees get acknowledged to the point where they've done that, where they could be in the WWE Hall of Fame? And I will tell you this, I think this is a start of a new revolution, because there are plenty of referees that have contributed to the WWE and professional wrestling in their roles that they play, that they do at some point deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Announcers, like, for example, when Michael Cole hangs up the boots, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Corey Graves deserves to be in the Hall of Fame at some point. We throw guy Jim Ross deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So we'll see that. And by the way, talking about announcers, I heard a little rumor, and I don't want to quote, I heard the possibility that tonight on SmackDown, we may see something a little bit special at the announce table. That's all I'm going to leave at. So, because we'll come Monday, I want to break all that stuff down. So, excuse me. So we get to see Tim White winning the award. And hopefully this kind of unlocks that path of multiple referees down the road. Stacy Keibler. And I think when it comes down to the Hall of Fame, comes down to Stacy Keibler, she is one of the factorial decisions in the revolution of women's wrestling that has earned her respectful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, I think this year's class, there's not a single person that probably is so outrageously named that probably doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame at some point. And it doesn't need to be a big class. We don't need to see 6 or 7 people in. 4 or 5 is just fine. You add it on to next year, and you get a chance to really focus on what each competitor gets, or each inductee gets to say about their career. They deserve the spotlight, don't they not? Who deserved that spotlight? Andy Kaufman also coming into this year's Hall of Fame. I'm not saying I'm not interested in Tim White, Stacy Keibler, and Andy Kaufman. They really I don't really know too much about Tim White or Andy Kaufman to really make a really big fuss about them heading into the Hall of Fame. Stacy Keibler, I don't know. Obviously, it's nothing. It doesn't jump out at me at anything spectacular, but at the time, she's contributed a lot. But here's a guy that we do know a little bit more successful outside the WWE. But you know what? I think the WWE is already at the point where we can sit here and say, all right, the Great Muta deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And why not? But Rey Mysterio is our big focus point this year, you guys. And I like this class. I think there's only one, maybe two people still missing, but understanding where everyone's at this year, I understand. Rey Mysterio deserves that spotlight. And we're kind of officially seeing that end of a generation here. Because growing up in San Diego, it was Rey Mysterio who was the talk of the town. And everyone wanted to see Rey Mysterio. It was big for San Diego, California. And, you know, I remember the first time seeing Rey Mysterio in competition was on a SmackDown where he got manhandled by the Big Show. It was David and Goliath. And this was when Big Show had hair and all that good stuff. And getting a chance, and every time you went to a WWE event, you wanted to see Rey Mysterio, even if he wasn't on that brand or wasn't part of that show, you wanted to see him at some way, shape, or form. Go down to the Sports Center in San Diego, hearing those woo chants, you know, those trucks parked up on one side of the arena, heading, you know, getting there 3 hours early. Matter of fact, there's been plenty of days I played hooky to go to a WWE event just to see wrestlers come in and out, because they would go across the street and they would have restaurants rented out for these WWE stars. And, you know, then they'll come on back. You see, you know, this was when like King Booker and Queen Carmel, right? Who, you know, they were kind of driving in. You get to see, you know, some people like got a chance out there in the way back by the streets. It was Chris Masters who was signing autographs through the cage. And I was like, oh, great time. But Rey Mysterio kind of, you know, was on ultimate, brings back so many memories in wrestling that when you get to go and watch, and the reason why you watch every Friday night and much more. So the Hall of Fame tonight on Peacock, that's what we are to expect. Coming up next, WrestleMania isn't the only WWE program this weekend. We also have NXT Stand and Deliver, and it's time to give you my predictions on who is going to win and walk away victorious this weekend. Hour number 2, big program here still to come. Taking you guys up until 2 o'clock. You guys are listening to The Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Going on, everyone? Justin here from the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to you, the listeners. That's right. Without you guys, none of this is possible. I would also like to take the time and invite you out to our merchandise page, thanks to T Public. Our merchandise page is where you can find all of our brandings from the Throw-In, which is currently active weekly, to the TNC Sports Talk official brands, to either the prior shows that was part of the TNC Sports Talk Foundation. Within all the brandings, you can select t-shirts in both men and female sizes, apparel such as hoodies, kids onesies, kids t-shirts, phone cases, notebooks, coffee mugs. They have a vast majority. This is why I love TeePublic. And right now, if you spend $80 or more, you get free shipping. And so we want to invite you out to our merchandise page by heading on over to teepublic.com/user/TNC-sports-talk, or even using the QR code up in the right-hand corner. We want to thank you guys again, the listeners, for supporting us, and we hope to see you guys out there in our merchandise. Alrighty, you guys. It is 122. And everything else gets put to the side because it is WrestleMania season, you guys. And how else can you get excited about WrestleMania season? It is the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. And throughout the week, I think I've done quite a bit job. Now, I do apologize for not finishing talking about matches yesterday. I thought that the game was more important than putting on a program. And like I said, I slept into like 11 o'clock yesterday because I was exhausted throughout the week. But I knew I had to come back on and doing a show. And so here we are talking about WrestleMania weekend. And I think we have to start off on a Saturday before WrestleMania season really begins. NXT Stand and Deliver, where we have 6 matches coming your way. So the game plan is that we're going to go over match by match real quick for NXT Stand and Deliver. And then what we're going to do is give you our prediction on who we think is going to win. Because NXT Stand and Deliver, you guys, it's just as important as WrestleMania itself. And it's growing each and every year. And the reason why I say it's more important because they're going to be because the night after WrestleMania is when we expect to see call-ups. And so how can we not talk about Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes if those are arguably 2 of the highest call-ups currently right now on NXT roster? Well, let's kind of run down that list for you guys. The first match that I think, and there's not going to be too much detail into this, to be honest. So let's kind of just get right into it. The first match that I'm talking about is for the Chase University, and that's going to be Schism taking on Andre Chase, Duke Hudson, Thay Hale, and Tyler Bate. And I don't know. I saw the debate a couple last week before this match was announced, and I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to kind of, you got 2 directions. You could have Chase University win and grow stronger, or you could have Schism win and dismantle Chase University and take them through a whole year of storytelling. But I'm going to actually choose Schism to win this match because I kind of want to see where or how, see these 4 people kind of what's next for their, wrestling careers moving forward. We got the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match between Alba Fari and Isla Dawn taking on Fallen Helene and Kiana James, the NXT champions. And I think it's time for a new NXT women's champions in Alba Fry and Isla Dawn. Next, we're talking about here is the unsanctioned Johnny Gargano and Grayson Waller. And, I think this is kind of to rewrite a chapter in Gargano's previous history in NXT. Now, I'm not saying that his WWE run right now is a utter failure, although I wouldn't be the only one to disagree with that or to agree with that in that standpoint. So, but I'm going with Johnny Gargano because I feel like Grayson Waller is the type of guy to be able to pick to make him look good. And we could even see Grayson Waller at some point potentially get called up to the WWE and return the favor. Next up, we have the NXT North American Championship with the champion Wes Lee choosing his opponents. And at the beginning, he chose Axiom, JD McDonough, and Ilja Dragunov. And then last Tuesday, he had a little battle royale or a tournament or a big match to determine his last and final opponent. And we saw Dragon Lee. And I mentioned to you earlier this week that I would like, Dragon Lee's just too good of a talent to stay in NXT. With Rey Mysterio out the door, they need another masked wrestler. And Dragon Lee fits that bill. But right now, Dragon Lee favorites my objective right now as the North American Championship, at least until the summer. And I think out of all the opponents, Axiom, great opponent, JD, Ilja, all great opponents, but Dragon Lee looks like a more realistic opponent for Wes Lee in that North American Championship. And then we got the NXT Women's title match. It's going to be a ladder match for the NXT Women's Championship. And we've seen qualifying matches take place throughout the week. We've seen Gigi Dolan qualify, Zoe Stark, Tiffany Stratton, Lyra Valkyra, and Indy Hartwell all qualify. Well, turns to find out that Roxanne Perez, who originally was out because of her collapsing after the title defense she had a few weeks ago, makes her return. Now, I think it is a question that the NXT fans have to I think one of the biggest questions coming out of Roxanne Perez in the future is if this was as real can get. Sorry, I had to reply back to something. But if Roxanne Perez's injury was as real possible could be, then I guess my thoughts are to let her drop that NXT Women's Championship for a while, let her recover, officially write her off a championship. And I would like to see either Lyra or Gigi Dolan pick up the victory and carry the future of NXT. Roxanne Perez also, in my opinion, is also a young, incredible talent that I believe deserves to come up to the main roster. Because I think that some of these call-ups that we could potentially see, some of these athletes in NXT, they're doing a tremendous job down there. But we need the only way that they're going to advance and continue their performance and get better is if they if they come up to the main roster and develop that way. So I'm choosing, actually, I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose Zoe Starks, because I feel like JC Jane will interfere in this ladder match, costing Gigi Dolan a match. If not, I say Gigi Dolan wins, and then we could see the feud between JC Jane and Gigi continue. But I'm going to keep my options open for the main roster and potential returns and whatnot. Last but not least, we'll talk about Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship. Braun Breaker has been the epitome to the NXT roster and universe for the past year. I think he's done it all. I know creative has been up and down with him, but there's really just not much more Braun Breaker can be thrown at that he hasn't already accomplished, and who he's accomplished in NXT. And if anyone has the heat and the power to take that spot in NXT, guess what? It's Carmelo Hayes. And I think for me, this is where that call up is really more slated for, because we see Braun Breaker, who's kind of almost, I mean, there's really, who else on that roster can face Braun Breaker? He's kind of been through a lot of people, regardless if the storylines are good or not. Carmelo Hayes, he could take a crack and come back and have a match with Grayson Waller or Axiom or even Wes Lee for that NXT championship. I think, in my opinion, Wes Lee or Carmelo Hayes wins the match and Braun Breaker finds himself on the main roster, because I feel like that's the next step for Braun Breaker and the future of his career. So I'm going Carmelo Hayes to win tomorrow night. You're going to see some shakeups, because right now I got all title defenses being changing hands tomorrow afternoon at NXT Stand and Deliver, which, by the way, I'm excited to watch and tune into. And, you know, NXT is not a product that I watch on a weekly basis, and I can't tell you everything and, you know, left and right and like the back of my hand, but it's still all very well tied to WWE. And with that being said, let's take our last break a little bit early, because coming up next is the time we've been waiting for. WrestleMania 39. I got match the night 1 and night 2 for you. And let's figure out if Triple H Hunter has done his job, a better job this year than he did last year. Don't go nowhere. The bottom half of the hour coming your way here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, WrestleMania 39. It is live this weekend, available on Peacock. Night 1, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can only stream on Peacock. And then on Sunday, come back at 8 p.m. for the finale, night 2 of WrestleMania 39, all available here. And it is time to talk about these matches. Night 1 and night 2, the match card has been set. And so let's go over what we will see on night number 1 real quick. We will have a total of 7 matches for night 1, with the men's showcase match where Braun Strowman, Ricochet will take on the Street Profits, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders. Then you'll see Dominic Mysterio taking on Rey Mysterio, Seth frickin' Rollins taking on Logan Paul, Becky Lynch, Lita, Trish Stratus, and Damage Control, and Trish Stratus taking on Damage Control. The Usos take on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and highlighted in big and bold is the United States Championship match between John Cena and Austin Theory. In night 2, we will see the women's showcase mode, match mode, whatever, where we get Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez taking on Natalya and Shotzi, taking on Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and taking on Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. We will also see Brock Lesnar taking on Omos, a Hell in a Cell match between Edge and Finn Balor, the Demon, Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus all fight for the Intercontinental Championship, Bianca Belair and Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, and for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, we will see Roman Reigns taking on the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And that is how your WrestleMania weekend is going to go down. So first and foremost, how well did Triple H do? Because, you know, and the first thing I think about what I see here, I notice maybe what they would call part-timers. You know, that's kind of the first thing that gravitates my attention. I look for. So you got John Cena, you got, I will say, Lita and Becky and Trish Stratus. Dominic is still on the main roster. He competes winking out. So I got 3 right now. Then you see Edge, part-timer, and Brock Lesnar. 5. Out of 13 matches, okay, there's a total of 5 people you can exclaim that are officially at the age of being part-timers. And this is minusing Roman Reigns. And which I think is a I think it's a good thing, because you focused around storylines that are concluding, such as the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which I think I forgot to mention. They compete in night 1. So, without further ado, let's take a look at WrestleMania night 1 here. And the first match I'm talking about is the men's showcase match between Braun Strowman, Ricochet, taking on the Street Profits, taking on Alpha Academy, taking on the Viking Raiders. And in my opinion, being in night 1, it's I want to say this is hard to choose, but I feel like this is a lackluster of a match, because you're just kind of trying to throw in competitors in there at the WrestleMania card that you didn't get a chance to put in that should be put in. Okay? But I'm going Braun Strowman and Ricochet. They've been a fan favorite over the tag team division. And what I hope here is that this is the image of what the tag team division is now. Come post WrestleMania, as I will give you a prediction about a match later on that can change the tag team division, we could see the tag team division grow a little bit more, in my stealth opinion. All right, let's get on over to the where is that? There we go. Let's get on over to Rey Mysterio taking on Dominic Mysterio. I've told you guys this. I kind of wish that we would have saw this just a bit, like conclude tonight on SmackDown or even at the Hall of Fame ceremony. It's going to be interesting. How is this going to kind of shape for Rey Mysterio's Hall of Fame ceremony? I think that, last year was very intriguing seeing The Undertaker because I grew up an Undertaker fan. I wanted to see Taker do everything and have his moment of fame. And Rey Mysterio, I want to see, of course, but I think now with this feud between Dominic, and you're definitely not going to have, you should have Dominic in there at some point and show his appreciation, but it's going to be weird when they're about to face each other tomorrow night at WrestleMania. So, I don't know. I think that Dominic needs to win this one, in my opinion. It would be hard to see Rey Mysterio retire tomorrow. So that's why I'm like, all right, well, if he wins, most likely he may come out and retire. But Dominic would need the win. This is going to be the era of the Judgment Day. I'm choosing Dominic in this match because beating your father and, Rey Mysterio could kind of come back and make this a whole year review where maybe he picks up a victory at SummerSlam with Dominic and then a career versus, all right, if you win, you come back on this side. If you lose, you come back to me and you let me cheat you the right way. If I lose, then I retire, officially retire. So I say Dominic gets the round one. And I wouldn't call this passing on the torch. I think this next year, Dominic starts really figuring out his own path away from the feud of Rey Mysterio. And I think that's also going to be a key element for Dominic trying to figure himself out. He's going to have to do it away from Rey. And this is, you beat Rey, you go on with the Judgment Day, you win some titles on your own, you make a name for yourself, using Eddie Guerrero's, gimmick. And then, you come back at some sort of some point this year, and then you take care of business. Alrighty. Next one here, if I can find it. Nope. I'm just going to go through the list here. It's somewhere. So I apologize. Come on, where is it? There we go. Night one can't be complete without Logan Paul and Seth frickin' Rollins. There's rumors about Seth Rollins coming out, Logan Paul leaving the WWE after this. And we see Seth Rollins, Logan Paul, and if Logan Paul wins, here's the thing. Logan Paul's career is contract coming to the end. And as of right now, Logan Paul has no intentions of resigning, at least two sources state that he has no, reason to resign. So do you let him beat Seth Rollins, keeping it open down in the future? Or do you let WWE, because if this was Vince McMahon's booking, you never let a celebrity get one above your top WWE stars as he's on the way out, right? But if this was Triple H's design, you may see Logan Paul come through, pick up a victory, and then leave it open if he to come back in a couple years. I think WWE twists everything. Logan Paul wins, and as much as he hated, he just silenced the entire Los Angeles crowd. Give me Logan Paul beating Seth freaking Rollins at WrestleMania for this one. We got this trios match. If I could pull it up, there we go. We got Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus taking on Bailey, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. Now, in a fun reality, I will say Lita, Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch wins, but okay, and here's a big but. I do see a heel turn by a member on Team Becky that can lead to a SummerSlam match. So I'm going to go out there and call it. I'm going to say, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go out there and say that you will see Bailey, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky win. Trish Stratus turns heel, leaving or attacking Becky Lynch, costing them the match. Potential Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, or potential Lita and Becky Lynch down the road, possibly SummerSlam in this sense. All right, then we have the tag team titles match. The brothers versus brothers, Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. This match, in my opinion, should be main event night 1, and I hope it is. But WWE is notorious for waiting until the last very little second to announce something. I'm choosing Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. It's time that WWE mixes things up and changes tag team title hands, and we could very well see the Usos drop the titles. This is that, listen, I heard this time and time again, and I agree with everyone saying this. All right, you see the rise, a full-on year rise of the bloodline, and they're starting to show cracks. This is, who to say that this can't be a full-on year downfall of the bloodline, starting off by losing at WrestleMania. So give me Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Another main event worthy that should be main event, but I just don't see it as big enough, is Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I'm saying Rhea Ripley goes on and takes the revenge. They will go 1-1 at main events at WrestleManias, and we will see a new SmackDown Women's Champion. Last but not least, on night 1, we will see John Cena, Austin Theory, and I'm honestly going, I don't know if John Cena is going to take the big fat L, so I'm actually going John Cena. But here's my prediction. I'm going Jay White night 1, Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, capturing the United States title from John Cena. In that case, you can also see Austin Theory come back, win the title, open challenge, because he's so cocky and say he's so confident. John Cena introduces Jay White to the WWE, and we see Austin Theory and Jay White. I got that feeling. I don't know where the WWE is headed towards, but still very much exciting. All right, the night 2 comes up right after this quick promotion video.
Like no one can. Where is your heart? What does it look like? Bruised, damaged, or mistreated. Where is your heart? What does it look like? What do you do with the feelings you feel?
Alrighty, Love's Not Enough, presented by Enlighten Studios, written and directed by Terry Chappell II. Encore performance from a play released back in 2019, and a successful tournament of events back in January of this year. Will be held at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. We will be broadcasting live there from 5 to 7 next Friday. So we have a lot to go over. April 7th at 7 p.m. and then April 8th at 3 p.m. Get your tickets now at the Community Arts Center .com website for Fairfield, Ohio. WrestleMania 39 night 2 kicks things off with a women's showcase mode. We have Natalya and Shotzi taking on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, taking on Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, taking on Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. And I'm going to choose the odd one out of here because unless this is going to lead up to a number one contenders match for Backlash, then I would see Ronda and Shayna. But because Ronda's kind of injured, kind of put this on the back burner. Give me Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. They've kind of been that on the market here for getting a WrestleMania spotlight early on. So give me the two least favorite of them all to pick up a victory. All right, coming up next, we're talking about Brock Lesnar, Omos. I told you it's difficult to decide, but it's either Brock Lesnar gets back on the winning streak or Omos looks completely pathetic, or Omos beats the Beast as a stepping stone because that's what the new position Brock has been in last couple of years. I'm going to say Omos comes in and wins, but not without the help of some people from the Hurt Business. Could we see Cedric Alexander and or Shelton Benjamin to return? Could we also see Bobby Lashley say, all right, MVP, I'll be a part of the Hurt Business like you want? I say Omos could win this match here. All right, coming up next here, we have Finn Balor taking on Edge in a Hell in a Cell. And this WrestleMania is going to be the WrestleMania of the Judgment Day. They're going to have a successful year, 2023, after we see the Bloodline kind of take a step back this year. Edge, they're going to both go 30 minutes. I don't know about 30 whole-on minutes, but I think this is a first match, with fans back in the stage that Edge can actually put on a showcase. And I think he will put on a showcase with Finn Balor. I say Finn Balor because especially that demon that we get to see. All righty. We have the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Sheamus taking on Drew McIntyre, taking on Gunther. And I think this one's quite simple. Sheamus becomes a Grand Slam champion. Now, this also doesn't mean that Imperium can't get involved into the match as well. All right, we also see the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka and Bianca Belair do battle. I see titles changing hands also as Bianca Belair loses to Asuka. And I think, in my honest opinion, this match needs to kick off night 2. Set the tone, because this women's match is going to really elevate night 2 of WrestleMania. And then last but not least, you guys, we have Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. There's a lot of people that's talked about it. Trey said earlier in the comment section, Sunday night will be a history made when Cody defeats Roman. You know what? They're so close to that 1,000-day title reign. I cannot see the WWE take the title off of Roman Reigns quite yet. I don't see it. And I'm going to go out there and say that Roman Reigns retains that undisputed WWE Universal Championship at the main event. Cody Rhodes does not need this spotlight quite yet. And I think, you can't, and imagine this. Roman Reigns dropping the title to Cody Rhodes off of a feud that's only had maybe 1 month of talking back and forth, of promo cutting. And that's how Roman Reigns loses his title? That's it? Cody Rhodes is going to need to get broken down and defeated to the point where this is all that he has left. And this isn't that point quite yet at WrestleMania, Sunday night. Roman Reigns is so close to that 1,000-day mark of holding that title. Cody Rhodes lose. And I think this could set up for something for SummerSlam, especially, since there's but this is the continuance of the downfall of the bloodline. So I am going on a bold prediction saying that Roman Reigns will retain his title at WrestleMania. And that is going to be my predictions for WrestleMania here as we get closer and closer and closer to the weekend that we've been waiting for. Well, 2 hours have come and gone. It's been a wonderful show for everyone. A lot of very impacted, but it doesn't stop today because coming up Monday, we have a lot to talk about as WrestleMania comes and goes, and we get to see who wins and who returns, who comes back, what happens at the grandest showcase of them all. It starts tonight on SmackDown, where Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns face off one last time, face to face, and the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We have the WWE Hall of Fame tonight, NXT Stand and Deliver Saturday, night 1 of WrestleMania, and night 2 of WrestleMania on Sunday. So a lot more to come. We'll come back Monday to talk about how those Reds did against those Pirates, getting you guys ready for the Cup Series coming up next week. We'll return back on Monday for more information. Thank you guys for watching the throw-in for 2 hours. I want to once again thank everyone for yesterday's involvement in the Reds and Pirates game. Great outcome. Can't wait to do that again. And until Monday, you guys have a great WrestleMania. Have a great weekend. Stay dry out there. And can't wait to see you guys next week. Thank you guys for tuning into the Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.